The big news in the DPRK right now, aside from the missile tests, has been the flood damage that has taken place in the northeastern end of the country. There have been massive floods that have been, what the DPRK recalls, the worst downpour since 1945, and tens of thousands of buildings have been destroyed and people have been left homeless, and they are suffering a great hardship. And what they're asking for is the international community to send them some kind of aid. The same kind of aid that you would send to any country that had been harmed in this way. Now, CNN decided to take this opportunity to make the claim that this is one of the few times the country will rarely admit that something is wrong, and that instead they prefer to portray the country as a workers' paradise, which is completely false. In fact, the DPRK is more than willing to talk about the things that are a problem for them, which is why they appeal to aid organizations for assistance. They appeal to have the sanctions against them removed so that they can develop on their own, so that they don't have to suffer these hardships. So CNN is just completely making this accusation up. I was trying not to say talking out of their ass, but basically that is what they're doing. In fact, I cite this example of a flood that took place in the DPRK several years ago. Now, this footage was placed on the news, like the regular KCNA TV, and this was broadcast around the world, the DPRK talking about the flood damage that they were suffering from. But if we were to listen to CNN, we would get the impression that no such thing has ever happened, and that the DPRK would just cover it up. But once again, we're left with a completely baseless accusation by a Western media outlet that frankly doesn't even make much sense. There's no real benefit to a country for actually denying that these things happen, especially when they've happened in the past and have told people that it's happened in the past and asked for help that time too. So again, this is just one of those things where there's a humanitarian crisis is on, and still imperialism has to attack people over it. Well, the only reason this is getting any attention is because you can't directly blame the U.S. for what's happening. So when that happens, when the U.S. does something, they pretty much just ignore it. But in this case, because they can't connect it to U.S. imperialism, they're pretty much just insulting the DPRK for having to go through it. And then people sit around, and Americans sit around and wonder why the world shows no sympathy to them when they suffer these kind of tragedies. Probably because this is the way that they treat other people. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.